Hey everyone, Shane Malika here with Fixius Power Building. Thanks for joining me for another episode. As you can see, we're heading into the Christmas season. Behind me, yeah, Buddy the Elf just threw up in our home. But you know what? I had 10, 15 minutes before heading out to pick up my son from school, and I thought this would be a great time to do just a little bit of a video regarding something I think that gets overlooked a lot, and that's the importance of sleep and our overall health. All right. Um, Sleep, it makes such a big difference in terms of your recovery. If you're a person like me that works out usually twice a day, I know it doesn't look like it right now. I'm getting into my cutting phase right now. The bulk is over. Now we're getting to the cut. Um, and everything. Sleep is so important when you are working out, and even just in your daily life. Sleep does so many things in terms of repair and recovery in the body, what it does to the mind, the brain as well. Some of those essential functions, it's critical. But unfortunately, in our society today, it's happening more and more where we're getting less and less sleep. And not only are we getting less of it, the quality of the sleep is become, is going down as well. We're not getting that good REM sleep that we're supposed to have for a lot of different reasons. And one thing I just wanted to share with you, if nothing else, when we talk about the importance of sleep, people are like, yeah, I'll get to it, or I'll sleep when I'm dead, all of those types of things. And trust me, going through college, I was probably one of the worst. When I was going through my undergrad and my graduate studies, I mean, sleeping four hours a night was kind of my common thing. I kind of joked about it. Go to bed at 1 a.m. because I was studying, I was doing those types of things going through graduate school, and I'd be up at 5 a.m. because I wanted to get my morning workout in before classes. Um, and everything. And I sustained that for a long time. And I look back and I think to myself how stupid I was. And the only reason why I was able to get through it was because I was young and my body had the ability to recover much easier than it does now. But, from a health perspective, I want to touch on one thing because I think we forget about this. And that's how important sleep is in terms of helping to almost prevent certain types of cancer in the human body. All right. This is getting a lot more traction. In fact, the World Health Organization, WHO, has really come out and said, for people who work, that third shift, that 11 to 7 type of shift and everything, that they are at a higher risk for certain types of cancer because when we are lacking sleep, when we have sleep disruption, it does a lot of things to our immune system and significant things. We're not talking about little changes, significant, especially if it's long-term sleep disruption. So let's talk a little bit, just briefly, about the immune system and how sleep affects our ability to fight off certain types of tumors. I share my screen here. Give me just a second, guys. All right, so here we go. So first of all, there's two types of immunity. All right, there's your innate immune system and then your adaptive immune system. So innate immune system means it's already there. It's an immediate response. Something is there in the body that's not supposed to be. The innate immune system attacks it. The adaptive immune system, which we hear about a lot now, especially with COVID-19 and everything, is when we are exposed to something new, our body adapts, develops new types of immune cells, if you will, to take care of that foreign, the antigen or whatever it may be. But what you're seeing on the screen right now are all the different cells of the innate immune system. All right, so the part of our immune system that's already there. The one cell, I'm not going to get caught in the weeds, but there's one particular cell, that one that's called here the natural killer cell or null killer cell. All right. These are extremely important. All of them are important, but this one's important because, again, it's part of the innate immune system, and it controls it helps to control several types of tumors and microbial infections in the human body, right? That's its main purpose. Now, sleep or lack of sleep definitely creates a potential problem when it comes to these natural killer cells, all right? I'll stop sharing here for a second so you can just see me full on. Not that you necessarily want to, but what happens when we have sleep disruption, and this is all research from Johns Hopkins, all right? So it's not like I got this from some Google blog or whatever. This is from Johns Hopkins University. So when we have sleep disruption, all right, even if it's just for one night, this alters our biological clock. All right, it alters that biological clock. Now, if this happens, not just short term, but long term, all right, you're going to have an increasing risk in terms of breast cancer, colon cancer, ovarian, prostate cancer. Those are all the big ones too. Those are the ones we hear about more and more. Maybe there's a correlation because over the decades, sleep is becoming disrupted more and more just with our lifestyles, all the technology that we tend to look at before bed or staying up later, getting up earlier. So maybe there's some type of correlation with that, all right? Because, hey, dog. Oh, sorry, guys. So with that lack of sleep, dog, what happens is it damages, all right? It increases the damage to our DNA. All right, so that's what lack of sleep does. It can create increased damage to our DNA. So including heightened cell death, cell proliferation, and cell replication errors. All right, so that's the thing. So the cell replication errors, that is actually tumor. That's actually some type of cancer cell, tumors, things like that. And what they found is that even with one poor night of sleep or lack of sleep, that can decrease those natural killer cell activities by 70%. So we're getting kind of two sides of the coin there, right? Lack of sleep is going to increase cell replication errors, which is going to increase our chances for tumor formation. And then we get the other side of it with those natural killer cells decreasing, all right, their activity by 70%. So think about what could happen from a short-term perspective, all right? These natural killer cells are for tumor control and for microbial infections, where you're at risk on a short-term basis for things like pneumonia, colitis, some of those other types of inflammatory conditions. And then long-term, now we're talking increased risk of cancer. So sleep is extremely important in your lives. Make sure you are blocking out a good 7 to 8 hours. All right, set it on your phone if you have to, that you need to get to bed by 9 o'clock in order to get up at a certain time in order for you to start your day. All right, do not think that binge watching whatever's on Netflix or be staring at your freaking phone on the social media sites is going to help you in any way. They don't. You may enjoy it, but that's a whole nother discussion in terms of what it's doing up here in the brain with the dopamine production and everything. So really concentrate on trying to set aside the time, first and foremost, on setting aside that block of time for adequate sleep. And then once you set aside that time, remember, there's some things that you should do in order to optimize that sleep so you can get as much quality sleep as possible. First thing is light and sound. All right. So in your bedroom, all right, not in the living room on the couch with the TV on, in your bedroom, first and foremost, decrease to the point where light is almost non-existent, and also sound as much as possible. All right. So curtains over the windows or blinds, turn them all the way down. No TV on. Your cell phone, guess what? Put it on the nightstand across the room. All right. Don't put it right next to you in bed, because guess what you're going to do? You're going to pick it up and look at it. And that's going to disrupt things as well. You want that room blacked out. You don't want to have immediate access to your phone. If you're one of those people who, like me, who uses my phone for an alarm, still put it across the room. Guess what you got to do? You got to get up, you got to turn it off, and guess what? You're ready to go for the day rather than pressing snooze a million times. Make sure you keep to a routine. All right. For me, whether it's Monday, Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday, I go to bed at the same time. I wake up at the same time. Make sure that I don't flip-flop around a whole bunch. I don't do things more on the weekends in order to catch up on sleep. I don't do anything like that. I set my block of time. And I keep it consistent every single day, including the weekends. If possible, try to keep your room cooler. All right. I live in the Midwest area, Chicagoland area. In the winter, though, I turn down that thermostat at night quite a bit in order to make sure that the house is a little bit cooler. This is what our bodies like. Our bodies like to be a little bit cooler when we sleep. All right. So I know sometimes people like to keep it cozy and a million blankets and all that stuff. That's going to increase your core temperature. It's actually going to harm your ability to get that good, deep REM sleep that you're looking for, that your body needs and craves. So keep the room a little bit cooler in order to keep your core temperature cooler as well. Also, caffeine. All right. I know I like caffeine. I love my coffee. All right. My good old black coffee and everything. But guess what? By a certain point in the day, I shut it down. All right, there's got to be an end to it. And for me, it's about 11 o'clock in the morning. All right, that after that, I have no more caffeine. And here's the reason why. The half-life, all right, the half-life of caffeine is about 6 hours. So that means if I put a certain number of milligrams in my body at a certain time of day, it takes 6 hours for that amount to be half of what it originally was. All right. And what I found out is that if I decrease stop my caffeine intake by 11 o'clock in the morning, noon at the latest, most of that caffeine is going to be out of my system by the time I want to go to bed. All right. So definitely make sure, again, try to really cut out that caffeine by noon every single day. That'll help you out a little bit when it comes to this sleep. Other little things, meals. Try not to have the biggest meal of your day for dinner, because your body, when you have a big meal, it's got to process all that. All right, it's going to take energy to do that. It has to concentrate. It's not just going to let it sit there till the morning, right? It's got to process it. So, sometimes some people have heard this phrase, for breakfast, eat like a king, for lunch, eat like a prince, and for dinner, eat like a pauper. Keep your smaller meal for the end of the day. That way your body has less to do in terms of the internal work. It'll actually make it easier for you to get to sleep and to stay asleep. And then finally, I know, obviously if you're viewing this channel, you probably do some type of exercise or activity. If possible, really try to get that done in the morning. Or if you have to do it later in the day because of your work schedule or whatever, try not to do it right before bed. All right, give yourself a good 2.5 hours before you want to go to bed when you're doing your exercise. All right, because a lot of times when you get ramped up like that, all right, it'll actually make it harder for you to fall asleep. And also you have an increased core temperature as well, which kind of gets back to what I was mentioning a little bit earlier. Right. So there's some tips and tricks to try to get some better quality sleep, greater amount of sleep during the course of your day. And again, don't be like I was back in my day in college, where I was thinking, I'm tough and everything. I don't need sleep. You need it. Your body needs it. And if, again, what I was mentioning before, think of what it's doing in terms of your overall health. It's going to increase all those potential problems in terms of cell death, cell proliferation, and abnormal cell replication, which can lead to tumor formation, and it's decreasing those natural killer cells that we talked about that control tumors and microbial infections. There's also some research out there that shows, in terms of lack of sleep, in terms of for long-term, if that occurs, the direct correlation for your increased risk for certain types of neurocognitive dysfunctions, such as dementia, Alzheimer's, as well, because of what happens with the cerebral spinal fluid and how it needs that sleep time in order to take away some of the bad things that happen, not bad things that happen in the brain, but some of the waste products that occur in the brain during the course of the day. A lot of information there. Hopefully you kind of dug this. I know it was short, it was quick, because like I said, I got to get out to pick up my son here and everything. So if you like this video, click that like button, click the subscribe button, because again, I got one subscriber. I think it's my mom at this point, but hey, I just like to produce content, and hopefully you dig this a little bit. So thanks a lot, you guys. You take care. You have a great holiday, and I will talk to you next week.